All right, and we're live. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Multiverse Show, episode 139, the greatest show on Mondays, with Fame Entertainment in the building.
I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. Happy to be back. I'm happy to be back.
All right, all right, all right. We got a lot of things to talk about. James has taken the week off. Been busy, busy, busy. Sometimes you gotta sleep. Let's all take a minute for James for a minute. Let's realize for him, he's like waking up. Like he gets off work. He gets home by like 1 o'clock in the morning, and he does this show every Monday. For
You're a
him,
better man
Tuesday.
than me.
For him, Tuesday. Not even Monday. He stays up till like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning to do this show. When he's got to go, I give him that time because he makes a bigger sacrifice than we do.
Yes, indeed.
All right. So, we got to do our intros for the evening. As I mentioned, Mr. Fame Entertainment's in the building. Mr. Titan of Texas. How you doing, sir?
What's going on, people? I'm happy to be back, man. Happy to talk with my Multiverse Bros again. Sorry for the absenteeism. Life always seems to get in the way when you want to talk about video games. But I am back this week, man. I got a bunch of projects in the background that I'm working on, but I'm happy to be with my boys today.
Mm-hmm. All right, and we have the Deletion himself, Mr. Mike P. The Truth.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining us for another great episode of the Multiverse Show. As always, we have a great docket of topics planned for you guys and gals tonight. We appreciate the support as always, so let's get it started.
All right, and we have the White Wolf, Mr. Samuel Tolbert.
Hey, everybody. Good to be here. We got some spicy stuff tonight. It's going to get really, really interesting. So, yeah, good to be here. Good to be talking with my bros. Let's get the show on the road.
All right. So let's get this rocking and rolling. First off, we have to ask the immortal question we ask every single week. What have you guys been playing? Sam, what you been playing, sir?
A little bit of Fire Emblem Three Houses. I finally made it to part 2, or the second act of the game, so to speak, which is where stuff really, really goes down. I don't want to spoil it in case anyone like me is just now actually playing that game, but it's really, really good. Well worth the setup, really worth the investment. They really make you care for these characters. I've been really having a lot of fun with that. Playing some Gears 5. Haven't been able to play as much as I would have liked because my external hard drive actually died on me this past weekend, which was not fun, as Ivan can attest to. I mean, everything is still saved, obviously. All your stuff is in the cloud these days. It's just been a pain on my internet trying to re-download games. I just got Borderlands 3 and Gears 5 re-downloaded today and some other stuff, so I'm trying to rebuild everything there. But, yeah, but other than that, I've been playing a small little party game that just came out called Mage Quit. It's actually a ton of fun. Yeah, okay. You know what I'm talking about, Fame.
Yes,
you know what I'm talking about. It's a blast. Like
It is fun. Like,
it's really fun. I'm doing a quick review. That'll be up on Windows Central either tomorrow or maybe the day after tomorrow at absolute max. But I can go ahead and tell you it's worth the $15. Go buy it. It's a lot of fun.
I actually did I did an interview with developers back in January, and I met them. I actually did a giveaway of the game a couple of months ago as well. So I'm really happy to hear people are excited and liking that game because the developer is a really cool guy. They have a really cool team, and I'm glad that it's out, for everyone to enjoy. And I hope the people who I think I gave away they gave me 10 copies to give away. So I hope everyone who got the giveaway enjoyed it, man. And if you want to look at the interview, check out TickGameNetwork.com. But Sam, I'm so happy you said that, dude, because they need a lot of press. That is a fun freaking game.
Yeah. I want to see more people talking about this game. I want to see way more, because right now I haven't really seen any other outlets covering it.
What's the premise?
What's
the premise for the rest of us?
The premise is, have you played Night Squad?
I have not.
Okay, all right, never mind. Can't use that comparison. Basically, quick premise: party game, up to 10 people online, or 8 players locally. It's one of those rare little games that actually supports 8 different Xbox controllers. It's on Xbox and Steam. No other platforms at the moment. Wizards. You pick a wizard. You can customize them, whatever. But it's a little cute, little cartoony wizard guy. You can play in teams or free for all, and you draft spells. So what that means is, after one round, everybody gets together and it's like, okay, this player performed the best, so they're going to draft last. And, the worst performing player drafts first. You get the first pick of the spells, and as the game goes on, you get more and more spells. So you start out just having a fireball or a wind blast or whatever, but by the end, you're throwing giant tsunami waves at each other, or snagging a guy with a vine and pulling him to you, or throwing an exploding
There's some
leech.
interactive maps, like some maps, like there's different things, like hazardous type stuff. It's super.
Right. There's a sea monster that will attack you on a couple of the maps. There's lava. There's actually a hockey puck map where if you manage to score and get the hockey puck in on the enemy team's side, you just automatically win that round. It's fantastic. And the best part, your victory or your progress is tracked by every time you get a kill, your wizard beard grows. And your beard gets longer and longer. So by the end, everybody's got these majestic flowing beards that put Gandalf to shame. It's fantastic. Like I said, full review coming next couple of days, but seriously, go ahead and buy it. It's $15. It's a fantastic party game.
Hey, Anchor, when you get a chance, I just dropped a link from the interview we did. It's in the Multiverse chat if you want to check it out.
Dope.
It's got some gameplay stuff in there.
That's dope. Yeah,
Cool.
you guys sold me on it. Now, is it couch co-op or can I play online too?
Both. You can take you can play just co-op, like on your couch. You can take your party on your couch online, or you can just play it online. And there's free-for-all, there's team battles. You can have up to 3 different teams, I think. And the best part is the developers have said more spells are coming. So they're going to continue to support the game for some time.
Well, I'm getting on right now to go buy it. I'm not kidding. I'm doing it right now. All right. So, Mike, what you been playing, sir?
Kind of been going back and forth. My 2 main games right now have been Gears 5 and 2K20. But over the weekend, game that I probably played the most was Dirt Rally 2.0. You guys know me and how much I love racing games. This one is really, really good. It's a really hardcore rally racing game. It's basically as close to a sim rally racing as you're going to get on console. It's still accessible enough with the settings and the tweaks, but it's a kind of game where if you're doing a race on a stage and you crash and you bust your headlights out, and the next stage is at nighttime and you don't get a chance to repair your car, you're driving that entire race with no headlights in the dark. So it's pretty crazy at some points, but the controls are great. Throttle control is the name of the game. Graphics are great. The sound is amazing. Some of the best engine and exhaust sounds I've heard in a racing game, probably since Project Cars. And the thing that's cool about this game, this is one of the games where Xbox Game Pass really changed my buying habits with this, because it came out at launch earlier this year. I think it was like March, and I was like, nah, I'm going to wait. And then it was in the E3 sale, and I was like, nah, I'm going to wait. And then it was like half price at the summer sale. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to buy it right now because I feel like this game is going to come to Game Pass sooner rather than later. And lo and behold, late last month, it came to Game Pass, and this is my first time trying it. And I love it. It's a great game. But that's what I've been playing lately, man. Also played a little bit of Call of Duty Mobile. It's good. It's really over the top with microtransactions, but it's free to play. So that's to be expected there. But that's what I've been playing lately.
Nice. Yeah, so let's see. Fane, what you been playing, if anything, sir?
I actually went back to Dauntless, my tried and true Dauntless with the update. I had to go in and see what was up with that. And then I'm actually getting ready to start World War Z, thanks to Xbox Game Pass. So it's a game I'm actually going to buy, and I didn't. And I'm kind of glad I didn't because it's on Game Pass, and hopefully I can find some people to run with. But those 2 are going to take up my time over the next, hopefully the next couple of weeks, I hope. But Dauntless is always going to be my go-to game.
Nice. So for me, I have been playing a couple different things. I re-downloaded Destiny 2 to just see what the deal was after so long. I don't have Shadowkeep, but I just wanted to just see the situation, see if the vibe felt any different. I felt like there's a lot more to do lately. I kind of just roamed around Mars for the most part. I don't know. It feels a little different. Like it's a little cleaner, a little less Activision sludge on everything. I don't know. I don't know what it is though, but we'll see. We'll see. So moving on a little bit, I played play my tried and true Fallout 76. I've been trying to get back into Red Dead Redemption 2's multiplayer. I feel like I need people to play that with, though. It's just not. There's something about it. Like I'm interested, but I need people to play with.
I totally hear you, dude. That's one of those games where I only really have fun in the online if I'm playing with two or three, like, or even just one other person. I hear you.
Yeah, just one other person would help out a lot. And just I don't know, it's a fun game, and also they redid the HDR, which is great now. So the HDR had this weird like cinematic mode. They call it cinematic now because you didn't really have any options back then. But with the cinematic, it was basically had this like filter that kind of muted all the colors anyway. And so it was like, this is dumb. Now with the HDR, they have a game setting. Looks amazing. It was a set, like I joined in on Valentine. It was like early morning, like still night. I'm like riding through the prairie as the sun's rising, and I saw that it just, beautiful. Like just looked great. Loved it. Other than that, I haven't been able to chance to really play too much beyond that. Mostly just waiting for Outer Worlds, rocking back and forth in the fetal position. Just wait. It'll come.
I hear you, man. I know. I've got it pre-installed right now. I keep looking at that icon.
Here. It's pre-installed. I'm ready to go. Anyway, going on to our Spooktober picks for week 2. I know some of us got a chance to pick. I have a kind of out there pick for you guys this week, but I'm gonna wait a little bit. Mike, did you get a pick this week?
No, I did not, and I actually have one. Wasn't the best reviewed movie as far as the critical standpoint. But my Spooktober pick is 30 Days of Night. I actually think it's a really good movie. I'm going to be honest with you. Putting the Blade movies aside, it's probably the best or one of the best vampire movies I've seen. Certainly one of the scariest. I like the whole concept of, it takes place really far north latitude, where there's a certain time of the year where there's no light, and then the vampires come, and then they try to cover it up at the end. I just think it's a really well done movie. Acting is really well done. Unfortunately, I haven't read the comic book to it. And it was funny. When my wife and I saw the movie, we were dating, and the movie's in Alaska, so it's like all the cold and stuff like that. And I remember that was crazy because the movie theater was freezing when we saw the movie. Man, saying it.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, first, I just want to say that I'll back Mike up on that. I realize it's not the best movie in the world, but it's a really original take on vampires. Plus, and I've said this before, I'll say it again, I am a sucker, rather, for just Arctic environments or like really snowed in settings. It's one of the reasons I love The Thing so much. So that setting really works well. This idea of just, you can't wait the vampires out until the day. There ain't going to be any day for a month. It's really cool. My pick for Spooktober is very different. Mine's really different. It barely qualifies as horror. It doesn't qualify as horror at all. It's a comedy, but it's Young Frankenstein. And that is a classic movie that everyone needs to have watched. It still makes me howl with laughter. The acting is top-notch. I mean, it's as if anyone somehow hasn't seen it by now, it is obviously a spoof on the Frankenstein story, but it's this idea of a guy who is the son of Frankenstein, the original doctor, and he inherits the castle, he inherits his work, and calamity ensues and hijinks, but it's all hilarious. It's all hilarious. Gene Wilder plays the starring role, does a fantastic performance, and one of the crazy things about it is, if you read the behind the scenes, the cast and crew were having so much fun filming this movie that they actually extended it by like 20 or 30 minutes with just extra gags and extra scenes and retakes that took longer just because they were having so much fun and they finished so far ahead of schedule. It's an absolute classic. Go check it out.
I agree. It is a great movie. One of my favorites. I keep a copy of it for myself because I love that movie. Okay, so my pick. This is not my pick. I was mentioning it now. Candyman, probably one of my favorite horror movies of all time. It's on Netflix. Go watch it now. Like just get out of the show now and go watch it. I love that movie. Absolutely love it. Also, kind of ties into the Breaking Bad thing. The guy who plays Gus is actually Candyman himself in that movie. It's random. It's a great movie, though. You should watch it. It's great. Fame, I think you'd like it.
Okay.
Like, really, I think you would. So, that's not my pick, but I'm just mentioning it's out there. I think I mentioned it the last 2 years. So just go watch it. My pick, this one, is actually not a movie. It's a TV show. So, out of the group here, when you guys were growing up, did you watch, like, Are You Afraid of the Dark, Goosebumps?
Of course.
Oh yeah.
The 90s stuff. We grew up with that. That was our bread and butter. It was most of those people here was our introduction to horror stuff or horror concepts in general. For me, it was mostly Twilight Zone, but I was kind of messed up. So, but you have that aspect of it. Netflix actually made their own Goosebumps series, but it's not Goosebumps. It's called Creeped Out, and they released like season 2 earlier this year, and I'd never seen it. I didn't know it existed until recently, so I started watching it, and man, it makes you feel old. So it's literally the same setup as all those other shows. It's always like preteen kids. It's another British Columbia, British Canadian kind of show. That's where the production team is, but they actually give it a pretty decent production value. It looks good. But it has that cheesy acting aspect of it that's always been in all the other series. But this is really good. I've really enjoyed watching it, but it's all like 2019 concepts. So it's like there's one episode about killer head lice, which is a pretty basic one. There's one I just finished watching one episode about like this kid who plays video games, but every time he plays, his body goes on autopilot and his brain skips 5 years. Or it skips like over a random period of time, so he's literally missing out on his life. And during that in-between time, his body's on autopilot, like literally just going to school, playing the video game, going to sleep. That's it. It just goes on autopilot, and he doesn't remember what happened in the in-between time. There's another one. There's a couple good idea ones that they had on there. There's one episode, I forget which one it's called, but there's one about they do it in reverse order. They do like a vlog style, like a found footage situation, but they play it in reverse. So you watch the end of it, and you slowly see the build up for you see people's motivations for why they do what they do at the end of the episode. It's a really cool concept idea of it. Some of them are absolutely terrible episodes, but some of them are actually really good. Stand out. I watched all of season 1, about halfway through season 2 right now. I watched this all weekend. It's really, if you want a throwback vibe, but you want to feel old, go watch it. Because like this is how it made me feel really old. They're doing an episode, I think it's called like A Boy Named Red. It's not a spoiler because it's only 20 minutes long and it's pretty upfront with what it is. A boy and his father's about to get a divorce with his mom. And the boy, they go to like their childhood home and they talk about how the father's kind of all messed up now. Like he's really cynical and kind of a jerk. His son finds a time portal that allows him to flip back and forth between his father's childhood and present day. So he can go back in time and change something that would change parts of his father. And it's not like if he doesn't do this, his life he's not going to meet him, he's not going to be born. It's not like that. It's very different. But they go back, and it's 1985. And I'm like, that wasn't that long ago. like it's only like just a couple of years before I was born. So I'm like, oh. Like it's like, oh, and it's so different. Like the kid, the father's playing Asteroids when he's 11, And he's like, "Oh, I have the joystick." And the kid's like, "What's a joystick?" I'm like, "What? Like, what's a joystick?" Just like, I'm only 26, but I know what a joystick is. But I'm just, it's little stuff like that, and it'll start making you feel really old. But it's fun because it's like, okay, what do kids nowadays are they quote afraid of? So it's interesting. They have some cool concepts. So like there's like an evil selfie app that steals your face.
Mm-hmm.
Just there's a bunch of really weird episodes, and it's fun and they're short, and it gives you that nostalgia vibe without necessarily being nostalgia. But it's cool. Definitely worth checking out for you guys. Okay, so let's get into some of our topics for the evening. We got a lot of gaming stuff to cover. First on the docket, this happened just last night. Is Fortnite over? Sam, can you get people up to speed? What's going on?
Okay, the TLDR version is that Fortnite had been hyping up an event called The End with the image of like a meteor crashing down into the island for some time now. They hadn't been giving any information on the start of Season 11, which is unusual. Usually they give information about the start of the next season. They just finished up Season 10, obviously, and then a massive event happened in-game where, the sky cracked wide open, which has happened before, but this time a beam of energy slammed into the island and created a black hole, and it sucked everything away. Now, if you load in, it's just a black hole. That's it. That's the end. Like, you load in, you can't play, it's just a black hole. Obviously, spoiler alert, people, the game isn't done for. They're just doing a really big evolution.
Man.
I know. But, a trailer has actually leaked. If you somehow care about it, then I'm not going to give you the details, but the point is that trailer has leaked and it's out there, and Fortnite Chapter 2 is on the way at some point, I don't know when, and it's going to bring a lot of different changes and improvements to the game. Big improvements, big mechanical changes. So, yeah, that's that. Here's what I'll say. I will say one more thing. It's easy to dismiss Fortnite because I know none of us play it, but I will say this. If you are a developer or a publisher or both running a games as a service game or a service title or anything like that, you need to be paying attention to Epic because the way they build hype is masterful. I do not care for Fortnite in the slightest, and they had me refreshing my tab going, okay, what you doing? What's up? Like, what are you doing here? This is interesting. They had millions of people watching on the live stream.
It's true. I don't care about Fortnite in the slightest, but I mean, you have to admit, this is an absolutely brilliant bit of marketing. I mean, seriously.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I will say, like, yesterday I was like, if they are actually ending the game, I would suddenly completely flip and say this is probably the best game ever. The fact that they actively decided to end their career and be like, okay, we had our run, it was free, we're good, we're ending the game, we're done.
This was the best possible way to say, hey, we have to take the game down for 2 weeks because we need to do a bunch of stuff. And so instead of saying, hey, we're going to be offline, let's do this big marketing move, make everybody think, of course, it's not ending, but this is a big movie production way of saying, hey, we got to take this game down for a while so we can update it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Really?
Exactly.
All they did was they took the game down so they can work on the and they're gonna bring it back. But they did it in a way to make you think they're actually doing something in reality. They're just in the background fixing stuff, getting it ready. But they could have the game up apparently while they were doing it and while they were testing stuff out. Brilliant. I still hate it, but it's brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. I don't care for it, but if you want a service game with seasonal events, pay attention to Epic because they have this down beyond a science. They understand how to do this.
I remember reading the comments on Twitter, and I got a little bit of a laugh out of this just because it's so ridiculous. Somebody in the replies on Twitter said, What if the black hole morphed into the Smash Brothers logo?
Oh my god. Oh, that would be crazy. Actually, that would have worked really well. You could just have one Fortnite character and you just do a skin swap. Like, this would be very basic. That wouldn't be that big of a deal, actually. Anyway, hey, I will say they are excellent in marketing. Absolutely. They've been doing a kick-ass job at it. I mean, like I said before, I don't care for the game, but hey, like the fact that you are even talking about this, we haven't talked about Fortnite in months. The fact we're talking about this works. So we're on the street. We're getting something announced officially tomorrow, so we'll find out. Okay. Next little bit. We have some more news we got last week. So we got a leaked, not a leak. We got an official announcement about the PlayStation 5. We had some general details as well. Spoiler alert, it's going to be called the PlayStation 5. This required a lot of thought. It was all up in the air. We didn't know what they were going to call the next PlayStation. We were just totally in the dark about what they were going to call it. But it is going to be called PlayStation 5. Yeah, what else? What other news do we get out of that, really?
We got some tidbits. For starters, I'll start with the interesting stuff. Mark Cerny confirmed to Wired, who have been getting the exclusive interviews, interestingly enough, that it is hardware-based ray tracing. Because previously, while they had said it was ray tracing earlier in the year, they didn't specify whether it was a software-level patch, which is fine, but it's not like what we're really looking for, or hardware-based, whereas Xbox had said at E3, yeah, this is hardware-based ray tracing, right on the silicon. So they've confirmed it's hardware-based. That's cool. That's great. They confirmed it's the PlayStation 5, which is amusing because what else was it going to be called? The most hilarious part about that is Jim Ryan is explicitly saying that they're not naming the next controller at this time. It's like, guys, it's the DualShock 5. Knock it off. Just, I don't know. That's obnoxious to me, but whatever. The interesting thing about the controller is they are going to be using haptic feedback technology. And if you think you've heard that before, you have. The Xbox One controllers have a version of that. It's more limited, but they have a limited version of that in the triggers. And not many developers use it, unfortunately, but that technology is why Forza feels so good. That's why Forza and Forza Motorsport and Forza Horizon are leagues above every other racing game, is because Turn 10 and Playground use that haptic feedback to provide better tension levels. And so what they've talked about, Mark Cerny's talked about in this interview with Wired, is they're going to be using haptic technology in not only the triggers, but also the thumbsticks. And that's really encouraging, because if they're doing that, I seriously doubt that Xbox isn't doing it. And if both of them are doing it, that means maybe we'll actually see many studios, multi-plat and first party, using this technology to provide better feedback in games. Like, they can actually make it feel like you're pushing through a blizzard or slogging through mud in a swamp or actually pulling back a bowstring. That's really cool stuff. I'd like to see more developers use it. So that's really interesting. Let's see what else. Oh, they confirmed it's using USB-C charging. Not the biggest deal in the world, but pretty neat. Like, good. Let's get everything on USB-C. It's going to have a bigger battery to address the battery concerns, and that's good, because my DualShock 4 dies after about an hour and a half. 2 hours if I'm lucky. So that's really good to hear. No word on whether the light bar is returning or the touchpad, which I found interesting, but I'd be shocked if they didn't return.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's about... Oh, there's one other tidbit. We now know that Bluepoint is working on a PlayStation 5 game. Not that it's that shocking, but there had been some mixed messages earlier. Some people, including myself at one point, were under the impression Bluepoint's next game was still intended for the PS4, but it sounds like it's not. It's been pushed to the PS5. They're working on a PS5 title, which means that the number of games it could be has been narrowed down to approximately Demon's Souls, and that's about it. But still, we'll see what it is. That's about it.
Yeah. All right. But so we got all this news, and that was great. But the timing of this news was something actually very interesting, because a lot of stuff happened. It dropped on Tuesday last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of other news also happened to come out that same day, but was basically cannibalized by the PlayStation 5 news. So, first and foremost, and Colin Moriarty brought this up first. A game came out on last Tuesday.
What game? I'm kidding.
Yeah. So PlayStation actually released a first-party title and gave it no press. They gave it absolutely no press, and the fact that Concrete Genie, a game I've heard some people mention, got zero press on its release date because of the PlayStation 5 news, kind of sucks. I've been hearing mixed things about it, honestly. So I don't know if this is intentional or not for them to do that. So they kind of like hide a mediocre game or not. I really don't know. I lean to say probably not. Maybe just poor planning. But
they're hiding a mediocre game.
Yeah. So I wanted to get your feelings on this, guys. Do you think this was malicious, or do you think this was just like, all right, yeah, we didn't pay attention to it?
Sony has been the master of marketing this entire gen. They don't do anything without thinking about it 16, 17 to 18,000 times, right? There's no way in the living hell that they wasn't aware of what they were doing. The game didn't, they probably knew it wouldn't review as much as well as they thought. Every game that they've dropped besides Days Gone, recently have been amazing. They don't want the stench, even though 70 isn't a bad game. They're being held to this big standard. So anything that's not, critically acclaimed, it seems to be a knock on Sony. So yeah, let's lay some people off. Let's Sean Layden leave. Let's release a mediocre game. Oh, and let's cover all it up by saying, hey, the PS5. They knew exactly what they were doing. It was all part of the plan, and it worked.
Unfortunately, I'm inclined to agree with Fame, rightly or wrongly. PlayStation generally knows what they're doing when it comes to marketing games, which is why it's so infuriating that they keep on doing this for their smaller games. Gravity Rush 2, remember that? In 2017, that suffered the same fate. What was it? Not Tearaway, Puppeteer, back in 2013, suffered the same fate. Most people don't even know Media Molecule made that game. But they did, and it happened. So... yeah, I mean, it didn't get bad reviews. It got a 76 on Metacritic, a 77. That's considering Pixelopus is a team of 25 people at max. That's fine, and it's a step above their previous game. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe it's just intended to be a little artsy game for the people who knew about it. I struggle to believe that it would have hurt them to actually put out more trailers for it, but okay, whatever. That is what it is.
Let Twitter tell you this was the next big Sony game that was going to outscore Gears 5. Let Twitter tell you.
Oh, I shouldn't do this. Well, 2 out of 3 so far haven't. So that's all I've got to say about that for this year.
All I'm saying is, ever since a certain person, quote unquote, switched sides, things have been going down, and I find that to be hilarious.
There is a curse. There is a curse. But
that man is a curse.
But regardless, So I mean, and I feel bad for Pixelopus. That'll be my closing remark on that, because by all accounts, it's a big leap above their previous game. And again, they are a small team. I want to emphasize that. So I wish Sony would give them more promotion, but they do this. It's all about the cinematic AAAs these days. That is if you I'm just going to let you know, and that's fine. If you're a PlayStation fan, their marketing and their focus is about the big AAAs. So
that's true. But yeah, another piece of news, I don't know if you guys caught it when I was grabbing something to drink. Another piece of news also was kind of buried, was a bunch of layoffs happened last week. Again, also covered by the PlayStation 5 news. What was it? It was around... I know a bunch of people in that area...
Well, it was SIE, wasn't it?
It was Sony Interactive Entertainment Europe. It was the marketing division of Europe specifically. So this wasn't developers that were affected. But yeah, according to a report from Video Games Chronicle, if you don't mind, I'll just take the lead on this since I have the article right in front of me. Sony laid off dozens at the European division. And basically from what I have been told by certain people, is a big part of Sony in the past has been the fact that the European division and the American division actually had separate marketing teams and everything, which had benefits because they could market more directly to, that market. They could get down on the level and figure out what was going on with those countries, and they understood how best to do promotions. They had separate budgets and everything. The problem is it's been hell on earth for publishers to deal with, because that means twice as many people have to keep track of embargoes, twice as many people keeping track of these different dates and things like that, which can be, a little obnoxious in this line of work. So the nutshell version is these layoffs are a part of them trying to globalize and go, okay, no, we're not two separate brands. We're one big brand. We've got one team doing this. And that means a lot of people are becoming redundant. Which sucks, because that's a lot of lost jobs.
Yeah, it does.
I still want to get down to the core on why Sean Layden left Sony. I still sit here wondering and pondering every day.
Well, Fame, I don't know if you know this, you probably do. That man still hasn't tweeted
at all. And I've been waiting for him to say something. That tells me, and I don't want to be, a quote unquote fearmonger, but that is alarming.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
there was like no follow-up.
And before someone comes yelling at me, he did retweet Pixelopus saying that, our game is out now, congratulations. That doesn't count. And that's not what I mean, and you know it.
That's not a tweet. That's a retweet.
Exactly, just to be clear. And but the thing is, here's the weird thing. He's liking people's tweets. He's going around and liking people who say, oh no, I'm sorry to hear there's drama. I hope everything's okay. Like, he's liking everybody who @s him. But he's not saying anything. And that is making me believe there's an NDA involved here.
Yeah,
probably.
You want to know what's funny about this, Sam? You don't know what's interesting about the whole Sean Layden situation? Was the fact that he left and there was just nothing. There was no explanation, no even attempt from Sony on damage control or whatever, nothing. Yet, what came out, I think it was today. It might have been yesterday, but I think it was today. At 343, I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, one of the producers of the campaign left.
Mary Olsen. One of the executive producers.
She left, but 343 was all over that. After the
they stopped that fire.
Trying to say like, hey, everything's still all right. We understand why some people would be concerned, but don't be concerned. Everything's still going great. And they were like really quick on that with the damage control, trying to address people's concerns. And this whole Sean Layden thing, they just kind of left it hanging, which is kind of weird.
Like I said, I agree with Sam. There's definitely there's something going on, which leads us to believe it wasn't a good breakup.
No, it wasn't. And how do I put this? For better or for worse, or both at the same time, the next PlayStation will be Jim Ryan's PlayStation.
Yeah.
Okay, that is good. Like, what Sean Layden did will wrap up through 2021, because he did, work with Worldwide Studios, like Pixelopus. Again, Pixelopus was his baby. He really wanted Concrete Genie to be out there. London Studio, Manchester, the UK teams. He really worked with them. The God of War, Last of Us Part 2, for God's sakes. Like, he was one of the people who was pushing. Hold on, let me just finish this real quick, Ivan. He was one of the people pushing less games, more time to make them. Less games, but make each game an event. And from journalists at GameDaily.biz and other places have confirmed, like, look, there was some internal drama. We can't say what, because these are very sensitive names. And the problem is, with this situation, again, from what very, very little I've been told, the kind of information is if you know something specific and you say it, people will know who you got it from, because only so many people were involved with this kind of thing. But there was drama, and whatever struggle there was, Jim Ryan reigned supreme, and he won.
What if... Okay, I'm not going to get into my theory about Apple's going to try to buy Sony in the next little bit.
Of course.
I'm not getting into that. What if the reason why Sony didn't go to really any events this year was because of that internal struggle, where it was between Jim Ryan, Sean Layden. They can't really go out there and announce any new Vision stuff because they didn't know what was going on. And again, not getting into the whole thing about being bought or anything. We're not going to get into that right now. But bear with me here. What if the entire reason behind this, behind why they haven't been very public, and they've just been doing little announcements here and there online, is because they even don't know what they're doing? And you can't have a show going out there announcing what you're going to be doing, unless possibly with the Jim Ryan win and Sean Layden's out, maybe Sean Layden was told, yeah, you got to step down, but we're going to get you covered. We got a spot for you until they announce, oh, by the way, you're fired at the end of the financial year.
Well, how can you fire Sean Layden? For freaking Jim Ryan.
Well,
Jim Ryan was higher up than him.
Yep. But not just that. Now, Jim Ryan, who wants shorter timetables, wants games to come out sooner. What if supposedly he was pushing for games to come out sooner they were actually ready? So Concrete Genie comes out on time here when it wasn't ready. Where where Sean Layden would have given them more time.
He would have pushed it back. To make a better
game. He would have pushed it back. He would have let them have more time. What if Last of Us Part 2 was actually intended to have multiplayer the entire time? But Jim Ryan said, no, you're launching beginning of 2020. So, they cut it.
Here's what I'll say. I don't know. I don't actually know, except, all we can do is speculate. You raised some interesting theories. I'll say this. I have been told by people I trust that the whole not going to E3 thing, not doing something that we don't have to, was Sean Layden. Sean Layden was not a fan of spending dollars if they didn't need to at big events. Mm-hmm. I do know that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Hey, and that Naughty Dog game, I still say it. That Naughty Dog multiplayer game, that will be their big toe touching to see if the water's warm on PC. It'll be a PS5 PC day and date multiplayer release.
That, and I guarantee you, Fame, that Predator game will as well.
Yep.
It hasn't been announced yet, but I guarantee you that Predator game will come to PC as well.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at dots, making connections, just looking at see what's going on. Next little bit, unless you guys want to say something else about this, because we got two more things we got to cover.
Nope, I think we're good.
I just love it when me and Sam are on the same page, man. We're Ebony and Ivory out of here. Sam is my guy, man.
All right,
thanks, man.
So next little bit, we're gonna skip Blizzard in China for just a second. Go to Doom. Unfortunately, ripping and tearing has been delayed to 2020.
It sucks, but I trust id Software.
Yeah, I trust them too. It's going to make a better game. You can't be too sad because it's your birthday.
Yeah, it's on my birthday, but I wanted it in 2019.
I want it now.
Hey,
I want to kill demons now.
If it makes you feel any better, I have my hands on a game before, and it's actually really fun. So you have a lot to look forward to, Anchor.
Yeah, I played at E3, and I can tell you that it is like what I played at E3 was beautifully polished. Mm-hmm. It was phenomenal.
I'm surprised it got pushed back because when I put it, I'm like, oh, this.
I'm not gonna lie, Fame. I'm kind of surprised it did too. Like, if you had asked me to guess which game was getting pushed back this year, I would not have picked Doom Eternal.
Yeah,
I really, really wouldn't. Especially because Doom sold like 3 to 4 times as well as it and Bethesda thought it was going to sell. That's one of their big titles now. Like, that's one of their heavy hitters. I mean, I know it's coming out in the same month as Pokemon, Death Stranding, and Star Wars, but still, I don't know. I guess there was something else going on. And but even then, as a result, they're giving an apology gift of Doom 64 is now no longer just coming to the Nintendo Switch. That's coming to all platforms for the first time ever, which is insane. I can't believe that game's coming back.
Losing another exclusive.
Oh my god! And it's a free pre-order bonus. If you pre-order Doom Eternal, you get Doom 64 for free. So that's a pretty nice apology.
Okay, fine. I mean, it just limits down my Game of the Year picks. So
There is that. It makes Game of the Year more and more interesting. Gears 5.
No, Game of the Year comes out next week.
Pokemon Shield. Even though I need them to announce what the Pokemon Sword exclusive Pokemon will be. Because I plan on buying Sword over Shield, but now I'm like, okay, what is Sword going to get, bro? Cause
are they the same Pokemon? Just one has a sword and one has a shield?
No, but they have an exclusive Pokemon.
Oh.
Yeah, beyond that, like you're correct, Ivan, but that's just like the major.
Oh, you mean the small one?
He's talking about all the others. They've talked about the smaller exclusive Pokemon for Shield, but they haven't talked about them for Sword yet. I'm sure.
I need to know because I want that Ponytail. Like I'm not trying to drop $120. Like if I can get someone who also has Shield,
that's the exclusive one. The Galeta Ponyta.
It's like it's like not even fire. It's like a rainbow type of instead of fire, it's like a rainbow type of fluffy thing going on, and it's not a fire type no more. It's
fairy type.
I think it's a fairy type.
Probably fairy type. It's a unicorn. Fame, I had impressions of you. Now they are different. But that's all I will say.
So, what do you mean?
But then I remember you have a daughter. It's like, yeah, that makes sense.
Hey, and plus, I am currently with my wife planning a uniform themed birthday party here in like 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So don't judge me.
Nice. All right. So yeah, Doom delayed. That sucks. Now, big news. We're gonna get political for a moment. So if you are not a fan of politics in video games, get the hell out. So, because this is one of those things where we really got to talk about it.
Yeah, there's no way to avoid it on this.
So, there was a situation that happened, a week and a half ago, or is it 2 weeks now? I think it's a week and a half.
It's Surfetched. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Apparently, it's Surfetched. It's a Sword exclusive.
Surfetched?
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, but it's his next form. It's Surfetched. So, yes, I'm getting Sword. It's not even a competition anymore. Surfetched, yes. Look at it. I'm all over that.
Yeah, sorry. Sword. Sorry. We're done. Yeah, that's a Sword one then. Okay, so about a week and a half ago, it was the Hearthstone Grandmaster Championship, which, by the way, I want to mention too, there was the Overwatch Grandmaster Championship, and the San Francisco Shock actually won. I never would have expected that. I mean, I don't watch as much as I used to, but that was bizarre. But hey, that's cool. I'll take it. I'd rather it be random than just than the same olds. Excuse me. So, okay, back time. But one of the players, Blitzchung, had on a full face mask and basically expressed support for the Hong Kong riot protests, whatever you want to call it. There's something going on. The short version of what's going on in the Hong Kong protests is actually okay. So in China, Hong Kong is considered a separate state. It's more like a city-state. It's technically part of China, but technically not a part of China. So they have kind of their own jurisdiction. It's kind of a legal gray area for them. So there was a law that was passed inside Hong Kong by their legislature that stated that a foreign power could extradite almost any prisoner that was taken to the mainland. Meaning, if China, there was someone that China wanted to get in Hong Kong, because Hong Kong is way more democratic than mainland China. If there was someone who was speaking out against the Chinese government, it was basically giving the Chinese government the right to go into Hong Kong and pull them out for quote-unquote justice on the mainland. So that's the short layman's version of what's going on over there. People didn't like that, so they've been doing a protest for the last few months. And it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's out of control, but it's definitely turning a corner in terms of what it was about. At first it was very peaceful. Some stuff has happened, but this just happens anytime you get a bunch of people together for long periods of time. So it's nothing out of the ordinary. It's not like it's crazy. So fast forward to now, you had Blitzchung voicing support for this. Blizzard honestly overreacted. What they did is they banned him, but was it a year or is it for? Or was it? It was a long period of time.
It was a year.
It was a year.
Yeah, it was a year from competitive play. They banned him. They took away his winnings and his pay, and they basically just kicked him out of it. Not just that, but the two announcers who were on with him, who didn't even ask, they didn't even do anything. Like, they were just there because as soon as he voiced support for Hong Kong, they got up and went under their desks so they wouldn't be seen. But Blizzard fired them too. So it was like they didn't even do anything. So this kind of this kind of kicked off this whole China thing that's been bouncing around. Fame, I believe you did you catch the thing what happened with the NBA at the Houston Rockets?
Fame.
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 Fame on?
We lost Fame.
Oh, well, we'll see. I'm not as well versed in what was going on with the Houston Rockets, honestly, but I'll give you what I remember. So the Houston Rockets are the most popular team in China for the NBA, and people had spoken out against them. Spoken against China, and so they were kind of going on damage control, and you had James Harden talking about how he loves China, and it just sounds so forced. Like they're like, "Oh, you gotta bend the bridge, James. You gotta do it," and it's like, "I don't want to." It's like, "But money, okay, fine." And so he just he has to start mending the bridge for that, and he's talking about how he loves China. It's like, "Oh, our fans in China are great. We love playing there." And it's like, this is so weird. But, so going back to the original point with Blizzard, this kicked off a lot of pushback against them. So Blizzard issued a apology, what was it, 2 days ago, Sam? Or was it 3 days ago?
It was 3 days ago, I believe.
3 days ago? So they issued
it was
an
Friday,
apology.
right?
Yeah, it was I remember because we were doing something. And I remember it came out. We were like, "Oh wow, that's weird." No, it had to have been. No, it would have been Saturday because we were trying to do the session 0 with Nick. That's where it was. It had to have been Saturday.
Okay.
So they issued out their apology, and it's basically a non-apology. They're like, "Look, we don't tolerate any political talk. We don't do anything or any divisive conversation, anything at all." And they got rid of them for it. And to be fair, that is something that they've done on a regular basis. They have actually cracked down on anything that could be remotely controversial. They will crack down on. They've always been like that. But this one raised up a lot of questions about well, Tencent owns a decent chunk of Activision. So China invests in a lot of different things, and people want to be a part in that Chinese market. So they're changing things and making adjustments to try and sell their games there and try to appease the Chinese government. So that should give you guys some backstory of what's going on in this case. Since then, I will say that they have walked back some of the punishment for Blitzchung. I think it's only a 6-month suspension.
It's only a 6-month, and they gave him his money back.
They gave him the money back.
I think it was $10,000 they gave it back.
Yeah. And this has kickstarted a big question going on in our industry. How much does China influence our industry? So I'm going to pass it off to you guys, just kind of get your feelings and impressions about this. Mike, I'll let you start first.
And it's funny. I'm looking at an article right now on CBS News. It was posted earlier this afternoon. Title of the article says, Blizzard says China had, quote unquote, no influence on move to ban Hearthstone video gamer. Believe what you want to believe. I don't really believe that's 100% true. The fact of the matter is, like you said, Blizzard has legitimate business interests in China. Blizzard and other companies, based on their relationship with China, if it doesn't go well, they could be leaving millions, possibly billions of dollars on the table. So this is the time in the industry now where companies are kind of in the crossfire, and understandably so, where they need to take a stand on this. Are they going to take a stand more for the business end of things, or if they're going to take a stand for morals and ethics? And one of the things that I've been seeing a lot too is a lot of people posting out the hashtag boycott Blizzard on Twitter and other social media. I think that's noble. I think the way that Blizzard handled this situation was less than ideal, to put it nicely, in my opinion. I actually think it was shitty, lack of a better word. Thing is, if you're going to boycott Blizzard, that's fine. But a lot of other companies have business interests tied up in China as well, trying to appease the government of China. And if you're going to boycott Blizzard, are you then going to boycott all of those other companies as well? And that's a really hard stance to take if you're a gamer. So something needs to come from these companies saying, we condemn what's going on over in China. We support the protesters. If they want to get that support from the gaming, Sam, I want to know if you elaborate on that a little bit more.
No, I mean, I agree with most of what you said. As for the boycott part, I'll start backwards here. That's a personal decision. I can't make that decision for you. I'm still wrestling myself, okay, about what I'm going to do if Diablo 4 is announced, or this is not going to happen, but like StarCraft 3 or the Warcraft 3 remaster that I've been looking forward to. It's like, okay, well, now, Sam, what are you going to do here? I mean, I don't buy microtransactions anyway, so I have no issues continuing to play the Blizzard games that I do have right now, but it's tough. It's really, really tough. Blizzard's and here's the irony, okay? Here's the irony. If Blizzard hadn't said anything in the first place, this probably wouldn't have been an issue with China. They could have just said, well, that's a Chinese political issue. We're not going to provide comment, players, whatever, they could have skirted it that way. Now, the Chinese government wasn't watching before. They definitely are now. And that's going to be a problem for them. There's no easy way out of this. Especially not with Diablo Immortal, which you remember, guys, the infamous BlizzCon last year and everything that happened there. Well, now, guess what? BlizzCon is less than 3 weeks away. BlizzCon's coming up again, and it's going to be bad. So, what do you do? I don't know. All I can say is that I do stand with the people of Hong Kong in this time. Like, I do personally believe in what they're protesting for. I understand. Continue to protest. But everyone's going to have to make that call on their own personally as to what they do. I will say I found it very interesting that Tim Sweeney of Epic, and Epic is 40% owned by Tencent, not 4% like Activision Blizzard is. He said as long as he is the controlling shareholder for Epic Games, such a thing will not happen at Epic. Like, they would not impose this kind of punishment for someone speaking their mind out like that, which I did find interesting and commendable. So thank you, Tim.
I will say this. Over this issue, I'm going to skip out the Halloween event.
Wow, okay.
That's big.
That's probably their biggest event of the year. That's probably their biggest one. It was their first major event. Like, they had the summer games, but no one cared about the summer games. Like, but the Halloween event was their first real event. And over this issue, like, I can't say I'm going to give up Overwatch forever, but over this issue, I'm not going to play the Halloween event because I don't agree with how they handled this.
There you go. That's a strong statement. My editor, Jez Corden on Windows Central, has over 10,000 hours in World of Warcraft, and he uninstalled it and unsubscribed over this. So, I mean, if you feel this way and you take a stand, it's commendable. So good on you, Ivan.
Yeah, I just don't. For me, on this particular issue, you can't be this two-faced when it comes to if you're an American company or you're an international company and you allow for people to make a comment and critique of a government or something else through your platform in one country, you shouldn't change the rules for a different country. Like, people will make developers and stuff will make criticisms against the United States government, and everyone's fine with that. That's their opinion. Everyone's cool. But if they make a criticism about the Chinese government, everyone buttons up. And I think that's what I think specifically the NBA, the James Harden thing, concerned me because it was like, okay, so it's totally cool for our people to to critique our government and critique our social political problems, but it's not okay to comment in another country.
One observation that I have with that, I think one of the reasons why people are more buttoned up, like you said, and more reluctant to criticize what's going on in China and other countries is because here in the United States, we're more familiar with it. Like, we're here, we're citizens, we're living in it. And some of it might be a lack of familiarity, I guess, to some extent.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, Mike. I legitimately have friends and family members who didn't know what was going on. They didn't even know there were issues in Hong Kong. And I want to be clear about something else as well. It's a very complicated issue with Chinese non-Hong Kong citizens because they don't have the same internet freedoms we do. Everything is very, very tightly controlled by the Chinese regime. So they are genuinely misinformed about a lot of this, and they don't understand what's actually going on at times. So yeah, but Mike, you hit on a great point there. It's very complicated. It's very difficult, and it's only going to get uglier. This is not just going to roll over and go away. And this doesn't just affect the gaming industry. This affects everyone who has plants, and manufacturing contracts over in China. This affects the film industry. Marvel relies quite a bit on many Chinese VFX artists to help do crunch work on the movies, and it's tough. It's really tough. This is only going to get uglier.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, that's also another thing too. At least specifically, at least the Blizzard situation. Like I said, and I mentioned this at the very beginning. I will give them a pass in terms of what they did to Blitzchung, and because they have always been this strict when it came to the esports thing. If there's any controversy whatsoever, you are punished. Period. And like even little things we would think are totally like innocuous gamer stuff. Like I remember, what was it, last year there was something where like one of the guy, like someone called out another, like, okay, one of the Overwatch players, I want to say it was for the Dallas Fuel, like called out a whole other player and like just went on a rant, just like cussing him out and everything. And so and he did that on his own time, on his own stream, and so he got like a 4-game suspension. And it's like, okay. It's like, this is not, like, I don't know. I thought that was a bit much for just like ranting off stream, or like off like you're not on the clock. Like he's just doing it for fun.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that's my thing. And but Blizzard's always been really strict about that. So I will give a pass like that. And that's why I'm not gonna like give it up forever. But like for their biggest event of the year, I'm not gonna play.
That's fair.
And I always go back for the events. And this will be the first major event I will miss because I'm not gonna play it. So sucks, but that's how it is.
Yep.
But anyway, wrapping things up. I know Fame had to go. He's been up since 3 o'clock in the morning, so yeah, it's been kind of tired for him. So we'll do our outros. Mike, where can people find you at?
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in for another great episode of the Multiverse Show. As always, we appreciate the support that you guys and gals always give us. You can find me on Twitter at @TheTruthOfMikeP and pretty much everything else at Mike P. The Truth.
All right, Sam?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Samuel Talbert, Tolbert. Happy to talk video games, movies, TV shows, whatever with you. Appreciate everyone who came out and gave us a like or just listened to us or is going to listen later. Really appreciate the support, everyone. And you can find everything I write on Windows Central, Android Central, and iMore. Also, buy Mage Quit. It's great.
I just bought it. I'm going to play it after we're done.
Nice.
So, Anchorman V2, you know where to find me. I'm all the way across the board, everything. I also updated all of the links in the description below for everybody. So you can actually see everyone's stuff. Like I have Sam's author page at Windows Central, so you guys can
Oh,
click on
thank
that,
you.
and it will just show you all of his work. Same for everybody else here who has a different platform for you to check out. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been the Greatest Show on Mondays, episode 139, and we are out of here.